Here's a number that should terrify you. $420,000. That's the median price of a home in the United States in 2024. Now here's another number, $59,000. That's the median income of an American under 35. Do the math. A young American today would need to save every single dollar they earn for 7 years. No food, no rent, no phone, just to afford a down payment. But here's the part nobody talks about. This wasn't an accident. The housing crisis wasn't caused by bad luck or a broken market. It was engineered, piece by piece, decision by decision. And the people who built this system, they're doing just fine. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at a for sale sign the same way again. Let's start with the cold hard facts. In 1980, the average American home cost about $47,000. The average worker earned around $19,000 a year. That's roughly a 2.5 times ratio, meaning a home cost 2.5 years of your salary. Fast forward to today. The average home, $420,000. The average salary, still hovering around $59,000 for young workers. That's a 7 times ratio, nearly 3 times worse than it was for your parents' generation. And wages? They've grown, but nowhere near fast enough. Since 1980, home prices have increased by over 800%. Wages? Up about 350%, and that's before inflation eats most of it. Here's what that means in real life. Your parents could buy a house on one income, raise a family, and still go on vacation. You're working 2 jobs, splitting rent with roommates, and getting told to stop buying avocado toast. The math doesn't lie, but the system does. To understand why young Americans are locked out, we need to go back to the 1970s and 80s. After World War II, the US government made a deliberate bet. Home ownership would be the foundation of the American middle class. The GI Bill helped veterans buy homes cheap. Highways were built to connect suburbs. Mortgages were subsidized. It worked. Home ownership rates hit nearly 70% by the 1970s. But then something shifted. In the 1980s, a new philosophy took over: deregulation. Banks were freed up, zoning laws multiplied, and, here's the critical part, homeowners started realizing that their house was their investment. If more homes got built, prices would fall, and falling prices meant their investment loses value. So what did homeowners do? They voted against new housing. They showed up to city council meetings. They blocked new developments. They demanded neighborhood character be preserved. This is called NIMBYism, not in my backyard, and it became one of the most powerful political forces in America. The result? Cities stopped building, supply froze, and prices began their long, unrelenting climb. Now let's talk about who's actually keeping young Americans out of homes. There are 3 main villains in this story. Villain number 1, institutional investors. In the years following the 2008 financial crisis, home prices crashed. And while regular families were losing their homes, a different kind of buyer showed up with suitcases full of cash. Companies like Blackstone, Invitation Homes, and American Homes 4 Rent started buying tens of thousands of single-family homes, not to live in, but to rent out. By 2023, institutional investors owned roughly 3 to 5 million homes in the United States. In some markets like Atlanta and Phoenix, they bought up to 30% of all available homes in certain zip codes. Think about what that means. You're a 28-year-old trying to buy your first home. You find something in your budget, you make an offer, and you get outbid, not by another family, but by a hedge fund that paid 20% over asking price, in cash, sight unseen. You never had a chance. Here's a fact that sounds boring but is absolutely devastating. In most American cities, it is illegal to build anything other than a single-family home on more than 75% of residential land. That's right, apartments, townhouses, duplexes, illegal on most land, in most cities. This artificial scarcity is the result of decades of zoning laws pushed by homeowners who didn't want certain people moving into their neighborhoods. The language was always polite, preserving community character, maintaining property values. But the impact was clear: less supply, higher prices, and a wall between those who got in early and everyone who came after. Villain number 3, the Federal Reserve. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Federal Reserve dropped interest rates to nearly zero. The idea was to stimulate the economy, and it worked. Maybe too well. With rates at zero, borrowing was essentially free. Investors rushed into real estate. Regular buyers rushed in too. Demand exploded, and prices went absolutely vertical. Then, to fight inflation, the Fed raised rates rapidly, hitting 7 to 8% by 2023, the highest in 2 decades. Now here's the trap. Homeowners who bought at 3% interest rates won't sell. Because they'd have to buy a new home at 7 or 8%. So they stay put. Inventory stays low, prices stay high. Young buyers are stuck paying both high prices and high interest rates at the same time. A $400,000 home at 7.5% interest costs you over $2,600 a month just in mortgage payments. Before insurance, before taxes, before anything breaks. It's a perfect storm. And young Americans are standing right in the middle of it. But here's what makes this crisis truly cruel. Young Americans are being told it's their fault. The media narrative is relentless. You're not buying a home because you spend too much. You travel too much. You drink too much coffee. You don't work hard enough. You're too soft. This is not an accident. It is a distraction. If you're busy blaming yourself, you're not asking who changed the rules. You're not asking why your parents could buy a house on one income in 1985 and you can't on two incomes in 2024. You're not organizing. You're not voting on housing policy. You're just working harder and hoping. Meanwhile, the investor class, the people who own the homes, benefit from exactly this confusion. Every year prices go up, their wealth grows. Every year young people stay renters. Those rents flow into investor pockets. The average American homeowner has seen their net worth increase by over $150,000 in the last 5 years, just from sitting in their house. The average renter? They've seen their rent go up 30% while their savings stay flat. This isn't a housing market. It's a wealth transfer machine, and it runs on your rent check. Now, is this fixable? Yes. But the solutions require things America has historically been bad at. Short-term pain for long-term gain. Solution 1, build massively more housing. The U.S. needs to build an estimated 4 to 7 million homes just to meet current demand. Some cities, Minneapolis, Austin, and Auckland in New Zealand, have started eliminating single-family zoning. Early results show prices stabilizing. It works, but it requires homeowners to accept that their investment might not grow as fast. That's a hard political sell. Solution 2, regulate institutional investors. Several states have proposed banning or limiting hedge funds from buying single-family homes. Canada has already restricted foreign investment in housing. It's not a complete solution, but removing one unfair advantage from the market matters. Solution 3, reform the tax code. Right now, the U.S. tax code heavily incentivizes real estate investment through depreciation deductions, capital gains exemptions, and 1031 exchanges. Reforming these would level the playing field between investors and regular buyers. Solution 4, the individual play. If you're a young American today, the honest advice is hard. Geographic arbitrage is your best weapon. Cities like Tulsa, Columbus, Pittsburgh, and Huntsville still have homes under $250,000 with growing job markets. Remote work has made this more possible than ever. It's not fair that you have to leave your city, but it might be the most rational move you can make. Here's the truth that nobody in power wants you to hear. The American housing market is not broken. It is working exactly as designed, for the people who designed it. It rewards those who got in early. It punishes those who came late. It turns homes, a basic human need, into financial instruments traded for profit. And until enough people get angry enough to demand change, through voting, through organizing, through refusing to accept the narrative that this is your personal failure, nothing will change. The question isn't whether you can afford a home. The question is, who decided you couldn't? And why are you letting them get away with it? If this video made you think differently about housing, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe. Because next week, we're going to look at another economy where this story ended very, very differently. I'll see you then.